Peace talks between Ukraine and Russia are tonight at a critical point. This is what we know. Donald Trump says there will be no meeting with the Ukrainian president or his Russian counterpart until a deal to end the war is final. Mr. Trump says tonight there are only a few remaining points of disagreement left, while a Ukrainian source tells CNN that no final text has been agreed just yet. Posting online just a few minutes ago, Mr. Trump ordered his top envoy, Steve Witkoff, to meet with Russian President Putin in Moscow. This comes after a flurry of diplomatic activity today. In Abu Dhabi, US Army Secretary Dan Driscoll is making a fresh push to find a resolution to the war with Russian officials. Mr. Trump says Driscoll will soon meet with the Ukrainian officials too. The Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says an amended peace plan must reflect what he calls the spirit and letter of the Trump-Putin summit, which was in Alaska.
We have channels of communication with our American colleagues, and they are being used. And we are awaiting their version, which they consider an interim version in terms of completing the phase of coordinating this text with the Europeans and Ukrainians. Then we will see. Because if the spirit and letter of Anchorage are lost in the key understandings we have documented, then of course the situation will be fundamentally different. But so far, I repeat, no one has officially communicated anything to us.
Well, world leaders are closely watching these negotiations play out. The French President Emmanuel Macron urged Kyiv to have robust security guarantees.
We are clearly at a crucial juncture. Negotiations are getting a new impetus, and we should seize this momentum, not because there is reason for alarm. Ukraine is solid, Russia is slow, and Europe is steadfast, but because there is finally a chance to make real progress toward a good peace.
CNN's Paula Hancock's following developments for us from Abu Dhabi. So that's where the action has been today. How does the day end?
That's right, Max. What we saw today and yesterday, in fact, was the Army Secretary Dan Driscoll here in Abu Dhabi. He was meeting with a Russian delegation. So that's a two-day meeting that has been ongoing. Now, we have just heard, as you mentioned, from that post from the US president, heard that Driscoll will also now be going on to meet the Ukrainian delegation, who we understand was also here, but not part of those discussions. Now, that could suggest that that there has been some progress made in the fact that there is now something to take back to the Ukrainian delegation. Maybe that is the way that this element of this sudden burst of diplomatic activity is going to play out here in Abu Dhabi. But we have seen some significant diplomatic activity across many different areas at this point. We have also been hearing some very positive statements coming from the Trump administration. We just heard President Trump posting that it is tremendous progress being made. We heard one US official saying that the Ukrainians have agreed to the peace deal, that there are some minor details to be sorted out. It's worth pointing out, though, that what we're hearing publicly from the Ukrainian officials is not as far forward as what we're hearing from the US side. We have heard the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky saying there are solid results, but much work still lies ahead. We also know that he was hoping to meet with the US president in the coming days. This we heard from his national security advisor. He was hoping to talk about what he called the more sensitive issues. So clearly some issues that he does not want to be in this proposal. He was hoping to meet face to face with the US president to try and hammer that out. Now, what we've seen from this social media post from President Trump is that he doesn't want to see either Zelensky or President Putin face to face until there is almost a deal, until the deal is almost finalized. So we'll have to see whether or not that meeting does in fact go ahead. But we are also, as you just played with the Sergei Lavrov sound there, a suggestion that whatever is decided on the Ukrainian side and the US side, it still has to be approved once again on the Russian side, and potentially that is what we will see here in Abu Dhabi now with the meeting about to happen in the coming days with Driscoll and a Ukrainian delegation.
Yeah, Paula, thank you so much. Matthew Chance is with us. You've been speaking to people involved in these talks as well. I mean, Trump's talking about these remaining points of disagreement. The implication being that they're making progress, but the reality is they have to deal with every point of disagreement to get a deal done, don't they?
Well, I mean, all along, US officials have been really playing down the extent, the magnitude of the disagreement. President Trump in his social media post said there's been just a few remaining points of disagreement. Marco Rubio in Geneva yesterday, when I was in a news conference with him, he said that he didn't believe any of the outstanding issues couldn't be gone around. But actually, I've been speaking to a senior Ukrainian source with direct negotiation experience, with knowledge of those negotiations. And he's been saying there's still a long way apart. There's still differences.
On those key issues?
Well, on issues like the surrender of territory, on issues like limitations being asked on Ukraine to put on its military, and on issues like its future NATO membership. They still haven't agreed either a wording on that or sort of agreed in principle that they would do that. And so, you can cast those things as small issues that can be got around as much as you like. But the truth is, these are the sort of core issues sort of in this negotiation. And also they're key conditions, by the way, of the Russians for them to end their war in Ukraine.
Could they park those issues and get to the other points and claim some sort of triumph?
Look, so what we're talking about right now is a negotiation to achieve a common position, between the Americans, the Ukrainians, and to the Europeans as well, who are backing Ukraine. I mean, yes, certainly they can sort of park those issues, hope they can resolve them later. But if you're talking about what do they present to the Russians, look, the Russians haven't been formally presented with any new draft yet on peace proposal. They're still talking about the old 28-point one from a few days ago. But, the Russians have made absolutely no indication up until now that they're prepared to compromise on those maximalist demands: territorial withdrawal, NATO membership, and limitations on the Ukrainian military, plus a number of other things as well. And so there's nothing to suggest they're going to do so this time.
But you've been reporting on Putin for a very long time. When does he budge?
Good question. Look, at the moment, it seems, from everything you see and hear in Russia, from the newspapers, from the media, from what officials say, they're absolutely adamant that, they feel that they're winning on the battlefield. They feel there's no reason for them to compromise, and they're prepared to, kind of plough on, even though it's causing them, a lot of casualties, and it's costing them a lot of money in terms of the sanctions and the money it costs to actually fund this war. Now, the Russians are also very good at hiding the extent of the pain that this conflict is causing. Undoubtedly, it is causing them a great deal of economic pain. There are estimates that it's lost, in terms of dead and injured, 1 million people. So these are vast numbers of people. And obviously that is having an impact. But are the Russians prepared to continue on regardless of that, to see if they can outlast the Ukrainians or see if they can outlast Western resolve to support Ukraine? At the moment, every indication is that they are.
OK, Matthew, thank you so much.